Hey folks, it's Jang here from ultimaterc.com, about to do an unboxing of the Team Associated RC10. Not the original RC10 Gold Pan, this is the B4.1 brushless edition RTR. Now, I first tested out the RC10 B4 platform, the original release version of it, back in 2003 when they first came out, and I loved the thing at the time, and I did a review on it then, and I built the kit and drove it and stuff, and it was awesome, and it really changed the game in its time, in a time when Associated was kind of in a slump as far as performance on the track. It was really the start of their major comeback. And here we are today in 2012, and you can get a ready-to-run one that comes with a brushless system already fully configured with a 2.4 gigahertz radio. All you gotta do is open the box, so let me go ahead and open the box. What in the world have they done here? It's like they don't want you to get the thing out of there. It's zip tied down to this insert, but the insert is totally glued, wow, with lots and lots of glue to the outside main box. Okay, there it goes. Okay, as usual, I'm going to get the less interesting stuff out of the way first so I can really focus mostly on the vehicle itself. This is something I have not seen in any unboxing I've done to date that I can remember, at least. All of the decals are die cut fully out of the sheet and just individual little pieces. That's interesting. And then here we've got some plastic parts. There's a camber tool. Looks like there's a cartridge building tool. There's another shock tool, some plastic wrenches, some very small extra preload clips, and some extra servo arms for different types of servos if you want to do an upgrade, and then 3 battery blocks, the foam blocks for spacing your battery forward to rear. So a useful set of tools and extras there. And then this just has information about the radio system and the vehicle itself. So that's out of the way. Now the radio, here's the radio system, 2.4 gigahertz, uses 8 AA's still, unfortunately. What do we have here? We have dual rates. It's a 3-channel unit. Of course, you're not going to really use 3 channels on this, but it does have 3. These are not real buttons over here. And it has endpoint, throttle ATV, and then trims, of course, and that's about it. But you know, 2.4 gigahertz, they call it IFHSS system. Feels pretty decent in the hand. Looks like it should have a pretty good balance overall. A little bit of bounce, not a whole lot in the middle, not too bad. Fairly light steering wheel, so that's going to make the vehicle feel more responsive, and it has a fairly short throw on the trigger, which is also going to make the vehicle just feel more responsive than if it had a longer throw. I wish it had a little bit more braking throw, because this is almost just on-off unless you have a really fine control of your throttle finger. But anyway, here we go. Associated RC10 B4.1. Did I mention that this had a 2.4 gigahertz radio system? I think I did, which makes it really comical that they have this big old antenna tube. It was all bent up in the box because it was just too big for the box. Why did they do that? Why? It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, first ran one of these a long time ago, and they are great. I'm not even going to be shy about it. The out-of-the-box setup on this one, this is my first time actually messing around with one of the RTRs of my own. I've messed around with other people's, but right out of the box, suspension setup is pretty nice. You know, they did a pretty good job of picking the springs, the progressiveness, and the oil. It's all pretty good. This should be ready to go on a track just from feeling it right there. The tires that this thing comes with actually have a decent tread to them. It's a little bit high in the middle to give you more focus on wearing down the center pins with that fast brushless system in it, but it does have foams in there, and it's soft enough that you should be able to get a fairly wide contact patch, especially off throttle, and just a nice feeling compound. Little fuzzy pins on there, square pins. The front ones have these 4 ridges, and again, a fairly soft compound. You could call this almost a race compound just from the feel of it. You know, like not a soft indoor race compound or clay compound, but for outdoor use, this should be pretty good for starting out. Let's see. I want to take the body off so I can look at everything at the same time on this. The beauty of the RC10 B4.1 is that even though it's an RTR in this case, it is fully a race designed chassis. This thing is designed from the ground up to go fast and to turn quickly and to be consistent and to be stable at high speeds. And they really haven't changed the design of it at all to go to this RTR version of it. All the geometry is still there. All the tuning ability is still there with different shock mounting options. You got the shocks behind the towers to lower the center of gravity. You've got coplanar steering up front. You've got minimum plastic above the bottom level. The ridge of the chassis around here. You know, the front chassis brace. This top brace right here is all that you have for really an upper deck. Just everything about it is just well designed. So this is not a basher buggy as far as its heritage. Now this brushless version comes with the SC450BL sensorless only ESC. It does have a little bit of programmability to it. They have some different throttle profiles with different amount of punch, and also adjustable drag brake up to a point. It does have LiPo cutoff built in, although its cutoff voltage is 3 volts, which is really lower than you want to use. You want to use at least 3.2, 3.4 is really going to make your packs last much longer than anything lower than that. So even though it has a LiPo cutoff in it, you should still stop driving the vehicle altogether if you notice it starting to slow down even before it hits that cutoff. This ESC is supposed to be rated for up to 3S LiPo usage with a lower kV motor, with a lower powered motor like this one that's included here. Speaking of which, this ready to run motor right here is a 3300 kV unit, but even though it looks like a solid full-sized 540 motor, the ratings on it and the actual power output that it's intended to give out it's actually pretty low. It's actually equivalent to what you would get from one of these finned can motors that actually has a smaller real motor inside of it and just makes up the size with extra fins on it. So definitely an underpowered motor for its size. It's not a racing motor, but still, I mean, even these things, I've tested these things plenty, and they've got plenty of punch, and with a 3300 kV rating on it, you should be able to run fairly cool if they've got the gearing right in this thing. And it does have a slipper clutch, of course. Obviously, the transmission is brushless ready, although Associated doesn't need to go with all metal gears in there because they've designed their gear box, the transmission case, to be precise enough and to have little enough flex that it can just handle higher powered systems. I mean, that same case, I don't know if the exact same version of plastic, but that same case design has been able to withstand the power of some very, very hot mod motors. So it's good stuff. It's precise. It's designed to work well. One difference about the ready-to-run versions, they do now have the gear diff instead of the ball diff in there. So that is more durable, longer lasting in general, and is not going to require adjusting it and making sure it stays tight enough. It's fairly loose, right now. Right now it's just turning the motor, and the motor has very little resistance on it, interestingly enough, but gear diff inside of there, so low maintenance, which is good for the RTR market. Beyond that, means small little receiver over here. It's a 4-channel receiver, but you're only ever going to use 2 of the channels. It has a nice battery tray with these simple little nuts, the little wing nuts. You just turn them, and this should be, you got to line up right, but that should be able to come up. And it's just a standard sized tray, the old normal width that'll work with full-sized packs. Originally designed for nickel metals, but it'll also work for lipos nowadays, of course. And then the servo that's included in there it's included. It's there. It's a Metal Gear servo, but the specs on it are terrible. I looked up the specs before doing this unboxing. 41.7 ounce-inches of torque at 6 volts. 41.7, very little. Fortunately, this vehicle right here doesn't need to have a whole lot of torque, because it's lightweight and it's small, and these tires are very thin. So it's really not just not going to be pushing a lot of force through these linkages. Also a very slow servo though, 0.18 second transit time at 6 volts. So fairly underrated there. I have a feeling that that's going to be the worst thing about this vehicle on the whole, just in general. I do know from experience that what I'm looking at right here, this plastic tie bar, is a big question mark, because even on the originals that had a fiber reinforced piece right here, that was the part that broke all the time. Anytime you take an impact to one of the corners, this would just snap right apart, and folks would always replace these from day one with aluminum replacements. Fortunately, they're fairly cheap and very easy to come by. But other than that, this platform in general has proven to be fairly durable, very reliable, easy to get parts for it in many different markets, and very adjustable. And you can adjust this thing and go out and win races with it at the club level. And the longer wheelbase version of this, by just pretty much just changing out the chassis and balancing your battery out right, making some adjustments, you can take this and upgrade it right up to World Championship edition, to get this to literally be the same in specs as Ryan Cavallari's World Champion buggy. So great pedigree there, but they bring it to you in a ready-to-run package, and they do give you brushless power right out of the box. And this cost about $240, I want to say $245 before coupons, with free shipping from towerhobbies.com. So that's your price. All that you need to get this thing running would be a battery and a charger to go with that, of course, and then the 8 AA's for the controller, and then you're good to go with the Team Associated RC10 B4.1 ready to run brushless buggy. The only other thing that I didn't mention was the shocks. The shocks have aluminum bodies, plastic caps, and they don't have threaded bodies, so you do use these preload clips to adjust your ride height. Not the greatest shocks out there, but as ready to run shocks go, they're very smooth and reliable for a while. They do get some gunk inside after a while. They don't have titanium nitride coated shafts on them, so the little metal fragments will taint the oil after a little while, but they're pretty decent to start with. So I'm looking forward to actually driving this thing. I haven't driven a B4 in quite a while. Looking forward to driving it on the track and even taking it off track a little bit, since it is an RTR, do a little bit of bashing with it. Also check out the top speed. I'll be putting up that footage as it becomes available, and it'll all eventually be culled down into one single full-on review. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more of those videos coming up, and other videos, of course, related to other RC-related topics on this channel on YouTube, and I hope to see you on the forums in the meantime at ultimaterc.com. Talk to you again soon.